Hi everybody, today I'm going to be talking about 7 health tips for summer to specifically balance the effects that summer has on our bodies. So as the days grow longer and warmer and it turns to the summer solstice, it's a time of warmth, sun, light, happiness, and adventure. More people and animals alike are drawn out. Mountains and lands that were once covered in snow in the winter are now accessible. Food is plentiful, especially those juicy, ripe fruits. It's time to enjoy campfires, feasts, barbecues, trips, going to the beach or the river or lake, laying out in the sun. And then as summer progresses, we see an increase of the qualities of summer. So that's going to be heat, light, intensity, fieriness, and dryness. And we're going to see those same qualities increase in ourselves as they increase in the summer. Now, these qualities are not inherently good or bad. It's just something that changes with the summer. But if they become too dominant in ourselves, they can lead to different imbalances and symptoms. So those are going to be things like red skin, inflammation, acid reflux, irritability, loose stools, pimples, rashes, any swelling or puffiness, and then headaches as well. Now, while these qualities are pretty typical of summer, it's good to note that this is going to depend on where you live. So every environment is a little bit different. So you're going to want to adjust the things that I say to be more relevant to where you actually live. And then another thing to note is not everyone is equally affected by the seasons. So you might be someone who gets really, really excited for summer to come along and for you to be able to go outside a bunch and lay in the sun. Or you might be someone that dreads the heat coming on. Now, if you're someone who dreads it, you're probably getting more influenced by these changes in the season when it comes to summer, and then having some of these imbalances that I mentioned. Now, another thing to note here is this is often noted with what's called your dosha in Ayurveda. So there's Pitta, Kapha, Vata. You can go on a tangent and look that up. But if you're already familiar with it, those with a Pitta dosha are going to be more prone to see the effects of summertime. So let's get into what are some things you can actually do to restore and maintain balance. So the main overarching goal here is to balance the qualities of summer by bringing more of the opposite qualities. So the opposite qualities are going to be cool, calm, movement, moisture, and light. And here are some things you can do to bring more of those opposite qualities into your life. The very first one is to be more active. Summer is a great time to increase your activity or the intensity of your training. So if you've been wanting to either start training or just kind of ramp things up, now is a great time to do it. The warmth of summer helps to keep our bodies warmer and it prevents injury, gives us a lot of energy, and unlike winter, which is a time to slow down and rest, summer is really a good time for picking up the pace and staying active. Another thing to remember here, though, is it's easy to overheat training in the summer if you're training in the hottest time of the day and live in a very hot area. So if it gets really hot where you are, just be mindful of that. Drink water, take some breaks in the shade. You don't want to go too far with this. Now, the second thing you can do is to wake up earlier. So your body's going to sync with the cycles and rhythms of nature. That's kind of the whole point of this video. And for instance, in the absence of artificial lights, you'll typically get really tired not too long after sunset, and then you'll normally rise in the morning around the same time that the sun rises. Since the days are much longer in the summertime, you're naturally probably going to get up a little bit earlier and go to bed a little bit later compared to the winter time. So a lot of people actually don't need quite as much sleep in the summer as in the winter time. So if you've been wanting to get up earlier, it will already be easier with the sun shining bright early in the morning. Okay, so the third thing you can do is to get outside and explore. One of my favorite parts of the summertime is that the snow melts in the mountains and you can go backpacking and hiking into the lakes, and it's just my favorite place in the world. I'm getting ready to go backpacking in a few days and I just can't wait. I love that part of summer. So while it's cold and snowy in the winter and it kind of brings us more into our house. Maybe you have a fire pit that you can be by and read and just kind of enjoy the coziness of the home in the winter. In the summer, there's just that huge pool to be outside and explore, and it's just so nice. It's kind of hard to stay cooped up in the house when it's all sunny outside, so that can be a very nice thing to do. Okay, so the next thing you can do is avoid sunburns. While time in the sun is amazing for your health, sunburns are not. Heat causes fat to oxidize, so essentially sunburns mean the sun is oxidizing your fat, creating unstable free radicals just like what's in vegetable or seed oils. Burns also increase heat and inflammation in the body, not to mention they hurt. Sunscreen is probably the most common way to prevent burns, but the vast majority of them are very toxic to the body. They also prevent you from getting all the benefits of the sun, like vitamin D synthesis. So I have a few tips for you to help you decrease the chances of you burning and help prevent sunburns. So the first one is do not consume seed oils. Seed oils are very chemically unstable and prone to oxidation. And if you consume them, that's what your fat is going to be made of. This will greatly increase your chances of being burned because your fat will be extra susceptible to oxidation. So the second thing you can do is eat saturated fat and vitamin A. As you probably already know, saturated fat is much more stable and less prone to oxidation. Therefore, if your fat is made up of more saturated fat from your diet, then you'll be a lot less likely to burn. Also, be sure to get plenty of vitamin A from foods like liver, kidney, cod liver oil, sea urchin, salmon roe, tuna, butter, eggs, eel, mackerel, and cheese. Vitamin A is very protective against sunburns as well. The third tip is to gradually increase your sun exposure. It's best if you can spend several hours outside every day throughout the year. That way your tan will gradually increase in the summer and you won't get burned at all. However, I know it can be difficult to make the time to do that or make it a priority, but just try to gradually increase your exposure. So at the beginning of summer, you probably only want to lay out in the sun for about 45 minutes midday, not 2+ hours at the hottest time of the day. So you want to gradually increase this, and in a month or two, you'll have a tan and it'll make it easier to lay out for 2 hours without getting burned and without wearing sunscreen. So the fourth tip is to cover up and go in the shade. So if you are going to be in the sun for longer periods of time, then you can just move to the shade or cover up. Something I'll do is I'll put like a shawl over my shoulders. It'll be very lightweight, so it won't make me hot, but that area gets so much sun, so it can be really helpful. Another tip is to avoid wearing sunglasses. So our bodies are really smart, and the sun hitting our eyes is a way to let our bodies know that we're being exposed to the sun and to prep accordingly to prevent burns. However, if we cover our eyes with sunglasses, this inhibits that communication with our body and can actually increase your chances of getting burned. So try to only use your sunglasses when you really need them, like when you're reading a book in the sun. Otherwise, try to go without sunglasses more often. The next thing is to factor in elevation, time, clouds, and water. So certain things will increase the amount of sun you're getting, like being in higher elevation, being out midday, or being in water. Also, being in water or out in an overcast day can make it difficult to feel that burn coming on compared to laying out in the sun dry on a hot day. Remember these to try to get a better idea of like how much sun you're actually getting. So the last tip I have for you for avoiding sunburns is to use natural non-toxic sunscreen as a last resort. If you are going to be in a situation where you aren't tan enough to deal with the sun exposure you'll be getting, and there's no option to go in the shade or covering up, then a good quality non-toxic sunscreen can be a great option. In these situations, I think that's a lot better than getting burned. So yeah, if you're gonna be like, I don't know, out on a boat all day or just in these situations, that can be a good option. If you do know any good non-toxic brands, feel free to leave them in the comments because I'm not super familiar with those. I always used the Badger one growing up, but I haven't really deep dived into it to see if it's a good one or not. So I'm sure other people would appreciate that and I would like to know as well. So then also, if you do get burned, It happens. No one's perfect. I get burned at the beginning of summer a lot of time. It can be hard to avoid. Remember, aloe gel, especially if you put it in the fridge ahead of time, is really, really soothing to burns. Okay, so back to balancing the effects of summer. So the next tip I have for you is to stay hydrated. So in the summer, we often sweat a lot more, which is awesome for your lymphatic system and your skin detoxing. But we need to remember to replenish the water and electrolytes we lose through sweat. Yeah, with our beverages and yeah. So anyway, some great hydrating beverages are going to be filtered water with a pinch of good quality mineral salt. We don't want to drink plain water. That can actually dehydrate you. You want to make sure there's plenty of minerals inside. Another good option is going to be apple cider vinegar water with a pinch of salt. Again, I like to put some cinnamon and ginger in there as well, and I'll leave the recipe down below if you want my exact proportions and how I make it. I also like to make a sparkling limeade where I mix lime juice and sparkling water and a pinch of salt. So I'll leave the recipe with all the measurements for that down below as well. Coconut water, juice, bone broth, I have a recipe for that one I'll put down below too. And whole raw milk are all going to be great sources of hydrating beverages. All right, so the next tip I have for you is to jump in cold water and take cold showers. This just brings a refreshing and revitalizing coolness to contrast the intense summer heat. At one point, I lived somewhere where it would regularly be in the 90s to like about 110 like every day in the summer, and I took multiple cold showers and I went to the river very, very often when I lived there just to cool down. All right, so the 7th tip is to eat a lighter seasonal diet. So summer is a great time to enjoy a little bit lighter foods as well as sweet, juicy, refreshing foods like peaches, tomatoes, and a variety of fresh fruit. Our digestion often weakens in the summertime and in the heat, and it's really common to not be quite as hungry in the summer. Therefore, lighter foods like grilled steak with a salad can be really nice this time of year. Also, if you're looking to lose some weight, now is a great time since your appetite is naturally lower. It just makes it a lot easier. In the summer, it's best to prioritize the flavors sweet, bitter, and astringent as they help balance the heat of summer. Okay, so here are some ideal summer foods organized by category. Now note that these are based on what's seasonal in California where I live. However, whatever is in season where you live might be a little bit different, so you really want to go by where you live. So first we can look at animal products. Now pretty much all these are going to be great for summer and all the seasons, but any kind of muscle meat, any animal fats, those are really great for cooking with. Bone broth, bone marrow, butter, cheese, eggs, fish, ghee, kefir, whole milk, organ meats, and any kind of odd parts, shellfish and yogurt are all awesome options. Now for fruits, some really great seasonal summer fruits are going to be apples, apricots, blackberries, blueberries, cantaloupe, cherries, figs, grapes, grapefruit, guava, mango, melon, nectarines, peaches, plums, raspberries, strawberries, and watermelon. Then for vegetables, avocados, carrots, corn. Get organic corn because a lot of it is GMO, so you really want that one organic. Well, you want all of them organic if you can, but especially corn. Cucumber, eggplant, fennel, garlic, green beans, green onions, lemongrass, okra, onion, peppers, potatoes, spinach, tomatillos, tomatoes, zucchini, and other summer squashes. Herbs and spices, you can really use any, but some that are just especially great in the summer, especially because you can grow a lot of these fresh, are basil, chives, cilantro, dill, mint, oregano, parsley, rosemary, sage, tarragon, and thyme. And then just a few other foods to mention that are going to be really good in the summertime are anything coconut, maple syrup, oats. You just want to soak them before to properly prepare them and reduce those anti-nutrients. Extra virgin olive oil, raw honey, and rice. Same thing with the rice. You want to soak it before. I always put a little apple cider vinegar in with the water when I'm soaking the rice too. So feel free to go back and screenshot those little graphs if you want some cheat sheets to look at for what are good summer foods. I also have an article version of this video too that has all of those lists down in the article as well, so you can also just check that out. I'll have it linked in the description, and then you can go look at the list there too, and you can also just kind of see a recap of the notes of this video. Yeah, if you're on a journey to bring ancestral wisdom back into your diet and health routine, then consider subscribing. I share new videos every single week on gut health, ancestral nutrition, and holistic healing. And if you want to learn to balance the effects of the other seasons, check out the playlist that I will put on the screen in a second. Thank you for watching.